Hello.
Hi, we are Doctors Jennifer and Jake Dean Hill, and this is the Doctors J&J podcast. We are so excited to be here with you today. We are both licensed therapists. We work together, we live together, we lead together, so we understand the challenges of being able to work peacefully and harmoniously together. We have come up with a simple, concrete solution. It's called Wear Two Crowns.
Wear Two Crowns is all about equity, learning how to bring out the strengths in each other, and learning how to share the power in the relationship so that we can all be better together. Each week, we're going to give you tips and tools and strategies and even personal stories to help you wear two crowns. And we're going to invite experts in the field of relationships that will help to educate us, inspire us to wear two crowns as well.
Yes. So tune in each week. We look forward to our time together.
Hello and welcome back to the Doctors J&J podcast.
It's good to be here.
We are all about wearing two crowns, and today we have a special treat for you because we are going to be talking about SEX.
One of the top topics
Yes.
in our work. Sex.
Very hot.
Mm-hmm.
Hot topic. Yes.
Good.
And
Love
so it's going to get a little steamy today, and we're excited because this is a hot topic, and it is a very common topic in our practice. And so if you're in the car with children,
Good point.
might want to switch to a different episode, but we're not going to get too graphic, so
Right.
don't get too panicked. But
That's coming.
yes, yeah, we'll maybe save that for another episode. But in the two crowns theme, obviously, when we have sexuality in a relationship that is reflective of two crowns, that means that we are doing a good job of making purple, meaning blue and pink.
Yeah,
And
blending.
if we haven't heard us talk about this idea of blue and pink, we want to kind of go into that and see how that relates to our sexuality.
Correct. Yeah.
So why don't you start with pink?
Well, I do a lot of education on this in my work, in my women's group too. But it's a very undereducated field, women's sexuality. And it is something that I think the women's body hasn't even been correctly anatomically diagrammed till the early 2000s, which is so hard for me to believe. I want to say 2008,
Yeah, it's
something
been
like that. But,
very poor research in that area.
Right.
For sure.
so because of that, there's been a lot of ignorance around sexuality and the woman's body. There's been a lot of shame around the woman's body. And a lot of times women were finding ourselves pushing ourselves away from sexuality just because it's bringing too much adrenaline. So that's probably the biggest piece that is important for women. If there's too much adrenaline in the sexual relationship, it actually fatigues the body and it starts to make the body atrophy, which is it puts on weight. We don't want more of that, women.
We don't want that.
Puts on more weight, puts on more stress on the heart if you have too much adrenaline. And it makes it really difficult for the woman to perform sexually. So to be able to let down, open up, and be able to perform. So because of that, women are typically very unaware of the fact that they need not adrenaline, but they need more oxytocin.
For sure.
Which I think we've talked about a little bit. We've touched on when it comes to co-regulating. And the oxytocin is the love hormone. And that is the opposite of the fear hormone, which is adrenaline.
Right.
So
bonding. That's the bonding hormone.
Absolutely. So when the woman doesn't have enough oxytocin, she won't have enough energy. For women, oxytocin energizes the woman. And for men, oxytocin puts them to sleep. So this is why typically after sex, don't get mad at the man, but a lot of times he wants to go to sleep. He feels very relaxed. He feels wonderful.
Very cozy.
Yeah, the woman might be like, I'm ready to clean the house, and up she goes or whatever. But it is typically very energizing for a woman to feel the oxytocin. Now, this is super important for when it comes to the foreplay of the relationship, where is
Foreplay, what's that?
foreplay. It's one of the 3 stages of sex is foreplay, and then there is intercourse, and then there is afterglow. So the foreplay is really important for setting the stage. I compare it to like setting a table. That, if a woman goes to a lot of work, and it could be for a man or a woman, not to
Right.
gender stereotype, but whoever, it makes a beautiful meal, right? If you want to be able to set the table, have a nice centerpiece, you have some plates out, it's beautiful napkins, right? My mother,
Candles.
yeah, your mom, she set a beautiful table
My
all the
mom
time.
does set
Yeah.
a beautiful table, and everything's coordinated. And of course, she usually has made on the sewing machine everything to coordinate and match.
Yeah, she's handy like that too.
So
And my mother set a beautiful table too. A lot of china and crystal and beautiful silver goblets and
yeah,
things, right? So
it's a great illustration.
right. So it's picturing setting the table for this beautiful feast that you want to be able to have. So a lot of times there's not enough time due to kids and work and sometimes just other stressors, and it can be even just conflict in the relationship. It's like, just let's get to intercourse, that second stage, and let's just get this done, right? And that can work periodically, but over time, what ends up happening to the woman's body, not only do you have more adrenaline, but you actually start to get some scar tissue. And you get scar tissue around the vaginal area because then penetration happens too quick, too soon, before the body is ready. The feeling goes down on that for sensation, right? So it's just, we're not wired that way. But to say to a man, hey, I need a 45-minute warm up, or I need a massage before we go there, or
Man, who has time for that?
Exactly. Let's take some time in the hot tub, or go to a sauna, or take a bath together, or a shower together, right? All of this can be foreplay. And it's so important for the woman to be able to have that. But if the man is groping the entire time through that foreplay stage, now we've got 45 minutes of adrenaline rush, right?
Right.
So the woman typically needs around 10 non-sexual touches even before she gets into that foreplay stage. And that is like, hand holding, pressing the arm, rubbing the back. Yeah, it feels good, right? Brings
Nice.
some oxytocin, right? So a woman typically needs that. Rarely is a woman getting that.
Right.
And so then typically then moving into that foreplay, it's just something a little bit more intimate, more body connection. So this is really about the body being ready. Obviously, too, for a woman, she needs emotional connection. A lot of us know that. So that the woman needs to feel emotionally connected to be able to have her body be more ready for the intercourse, that second stage. So that comes with, again, finding the foreplay activities that you want as a woman to really relax your body and cause you to open up is unique to every woman. But it's that setting that table. Like,
Right.
let's get ready for this feast. And again, I promise, we both have said this because we've been parents of young kids. It's like, we are never going to shame couples for not making sure that they're doing this right. There's no right way. You just need to know that this is what is unique to men and women, is that women typically need more warm up time.
Right.
So
Now,
the word picture on this, real quick, let me say that the word picture on this is the women are crockpots and the men are
microwaves. So, in that vein, I want you to clock how long it took for Jenn to even begin to talk about pink sex. And I want you to time me in talking about blue sex.
But I'm
Get
not even
naked.
done.
I know you're not even done. You're like just getting started on pink sex. So, and I'm going to cut you off because we don't have that much time.
I need 45 minutes of
I know.
conversation.
I know. So, if you can just give me 2 seconds to talk about blue sex and basically get naked, get aroused, and we're good to go.
Penetration.
Yeah. So, the microwave, you go beep, 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 and we're good. And so that's the hardest part, pun intended. That's the hardest part of couples coming together sexually, is because we are so different, physically, sexually, how we're aroused. Men are so visually stimulated, and men can go all day. We don't talk to our wives once. We don't even check in, maybe not even a text. And we come to the evening and we're ready to go. And the wife is saying, "What's your name again?" and
Can you just
they're
rub
below,
rub
right?
my feet for a
Oh,
little
just
bit?
rub my something,
Something
have
fine.
some kind of connection, but
Feed me a meal.
we don't have
something.
time for that. So we just got to get her done, because married couples or people in a relationship are supposed to have sex. Like, this is kind of the standard deal. And one of the things I wanted to say too is that it's probably the most untalked about topic, because in the movies, we watch these movies, and this couple comes together and they make this beautiful, passionate love.
Right.
And there's nothing ever said, and there's
Right.
nothing ever talked about. It's not like they're having this planning meeting
Right.
before they have this beautiful lovemaking scene. But it's in the script, and I always remind people, like, "Oh, why don't you do it like them?" Like, well, yeah, he's reading the script in the Nicholas Sparks movie. So don't think that guy's just made that up.
Which men probably need to watch more chick flicks.
Well, we do need to take notes on that, but one of the things we do need to do is we need to talk about it more, and it can't be the faux, the big faux pas as far and the forbidden topic. And you can't just be expected to know what each other needs. And one of the things that I see is our culture a lot of times is expecting men and women to have blue sex. I would say that is the predominant expectation, is that we're supposed to have intercourse. It's just supposed to happen, and it's supposed to happen regularly. And time for the foreplay, the afterglow, is not that expected.
Right.
And I think what I notice is a lot of women also perpetuate this stereotype.
It's true. Well, I think there's a lot of shame. I know as a woman, it's kind of like, you're the racehorse and I'm the donkey or something. It's like I can't keep up, right? And I think there is such a shame on women that women don't then know how to say to their partner, "Hey, could I just have some foreplay?" It feels like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You don't need that." No porn thing shows that. No, porn speaks to such a immediate gratification, right? Not that I'm an expert on porn, but it's
I hope not.
this is what we learn even in our movies and stuff. You only have so much time, so it's quick. Let's get to the hot and heavy, and you both are ripping each other's clothes off. And
which is the passion, which everybody
is
wants.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's just that's rarely are two people in that space to do that. And that would be putting a lot of pressure on the woman to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready.
Well, the woman's body wasn't even designed to be sexually ready without having that preparation, without having the table set. But women force that. I tell people all the time, like, they probably had to come up with KY jelly just because of that.
Well, that's true. At the same time, I will say is that it's different too as you age.
That's true.
Right? So every body is different, and the women's body obviously typically needs more lubrication, things like she ages. And that's not taken into consideration usually by both partners. Either the woman is quietly trying to take care of it herself, or she feels maybe some shame about that. And she's not saying, "Hey, can you help me a little bit more on that?" So I think this is the biggest thing is, and hopefully this podcast will be about lifting the shame through education. There's no right or wrong on this. It's just different. And you really have to make purple. You have to work together with the differences. And you start to become a well-oiled machine as you practice and you learn and you communicate when you're ready, when you're not ready. Of course, safety, mutual consent. This is essential to have a healthy sex life.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say to women especially is stop saying that you're tired and have a headache. Now, granted, if you actually do, that's fine. But you're not helping your man if you just right? If he's groping you or if he's wanting to initiate sex and you keep saying, I'm tired, I have a headache, when in reality, you're not drawn to him in that way because he's not done the work to get pink on board.
Right.
And so it's not purple. And so I tell women all the time, I said, if more women, right, when it's obvious, and most women would be like, it's very obvious when he wants to get lucky.
Yeah.
If more women said, I love sex too. I think it's so important for our intimacy. I love being sexual with you. But I am struggling to feel like I'm ready. My body's ready. I'm not feeling, aroused in that way because I'm needing more quality time, or I'm needing more conversation, or I'm needing the environment to be different. I'm needing music or candles or
Set that table.
set the table. And so if more women educated their man and said, not because what happens is they say, I'm tired and I have a headache. And so the man feels rejected. It's like, man, she's got a lot of headaches. Instead, they feel like they're not wanted and desired. Instead, if a woman says, I desire you, but I want this to be mutual. And so if they could say, hey, could we spend some more time on the foreplay so that I don't feel resentful, so that I don't feel used? And how often does that happen where
that
women just feel like they have to engage because that's their wifely duty?
Well, absolutely. And then that starts to become now a violation issue. And this is what's really sad. And we work a lot, sadly, with this because of ignorance. But I also have to say disrespect. Men sometimes are feeling like, hey, I'm entitled to this. I can do this whenever I want. That is the benefit of being married. I can have it however I want. And they don't recognize or honor the differences. Women are not visually stimulated like a man for arousal. Where men, it's like all you have to do is just come out scantily dressed, and the man's like, I'm ready. That is not the same with women. So, no, I do think that is the saddest part. And to use, a crude visual on this, at the three stages, right?
Yeah,
So
this is good.
you have that.
Jen came up with this.
Well, because I've heard it so many times with women, and I'm helping women to heal from this, but then also helping to re-educate their partner. And if the partner is teachable, then we can turn this around. But sometimes there needs to be a break from the sex life because there's so much pain, not only just emotional, but physical pain. But the three stages.
Yeah. So Jen is holding up 3 fingers right now.
3 fingers.
And I want you, if you're just listening, I want you to get this illustration.
Right. If you take down the first finger, the foreplay, and then of course you take down the afterglow finger, you're left with your middle finger up, right? And that's a lot of times how women are feeling is they're feeling very disrespected in the marriage bed. They don't know how to turn this around. A good-hearted man feels horrible about it, but doesn't know what to do. And then he also feels like he's being deprived. And like you said, Jake, is that they're getting shoved off and they're getting misled and they're getting promised this, but then they're feigning a headache or something. And none of this is truthful.
It's not, and it's not transparent. And a lot of men will take the easy road if we're allowed. And because if we're horny or if we're just wanting it and we're, feeling like we want that release or want that closeness with our wife, because here's the thing is men often want sex to feel loved and women want to feel loved to have sex.
Right.
And so we could get frustrated with that all day long, but that's how we're created.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of intimacy in a relationship, is that if we, and I think men are supposed to lead in this, and a lot of times, men sometimes feel like they need to lead in every area, but I think we, as promoting 2 crowns, I think we're co-leaders. But in the sexual realm, if men lead in loving their wives, meaning the foreplay, setting the stage, taking the time and understanding pink sex,
And respecting boundaries is huge.
respecting boundaries. I
Sexual
think if
boundaries.
men led in that way,
Right.
then women would be drawn to want to have sex, and that would be loving to the man. But if you try to reverse that, and this is what I see in our culture and a lot of relationships, is we try to reverse that. And so the woman is saying, I'm going to have sex to make my husband feel love, and then maybe he'll love me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But it's in reverse. And so her body's not ready, her mind's not ready,
Right.
her emotions aren't ready for that connection, that intimacy. And so when you do it in reverse like that, it oftentimes creates resentment. And like you said, it just turns into the middle finger. And
Yeah.
women feel like that's all they are, is being used, and they're just a piece of meat, or they are not feeling like we're making love. We're just having sex.
Well, and that more than that, they feel violated.
Right.
And I've many times have heard a woman feel, I feel raped in my own marriage bed. And
Yeah, that's not okay.
It's not okay. It's not two crown living. And
I think a lot of men, if they heard that, they would be offended.
They're offended. But
because that's the last thing they want to do.
It's the last thing they want to do. And I don't think a lot of men, most men, if not all the men we work with, it seems like it's just they're doing it because they don't know, and they're not being educated, and they're getting frustrated, and they've tried a lot of different things, but the woman is just either shutting down or pulling back.
Which is why we're doing this podcast.
Which is why we're doing that, because education is so huge to be able to have a different path forward. But I will say this, and this is the dark part of sexuality, is typically the stats are 3 out of 4 women have been sexually abused. And those are just the ones that are reported. So a lot of times it's fair to say that I think there's more. And so a lot of times most people are coming with some kind of a trauma in their sexuality to the marriage bed. And that also needs to be worked through and talked about and treated for, in some cases, for the physical and the cellular trauma that comes from being violated and mistreated sexually, so that both parties can show up in the present moment and be able to feel the freedom and the joy that sex can bring for connection.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to protect themselves, try to just comply, go through the motions. It's also very normal, too, that a lot of times repressed memories hold a lot of stuff down. And you might be married to somebody for 15, 16 years, and suddenly they see a movie. All of a sudden, emotions or memories come up, and then eventually they start to feel maybe some discomfort in the sexual arena. So
it's a whole nother reason why we need to communicate about this topic.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling trauma, or you're feeling triggered, or if you're feeling resentful or bitter, you got to have a conversation, and you have to change the way you are connecting. And I love the fact that so many couples they're still making their intimacy a priority, and that's really important to them.
Right.
But sometimes it's not always quality, it's just quantity.
Correct.
And I think you can have both.
Yeah, I think you can have both. But a lot of times I've worked with a lot of men, I'm like, when we've had to, one of the treatment techniques, and people aren't always excited about this, but a lot of times the person that's feeling violated is very excited. They need a break, right? And we do what we call a 90-day reset, where it's like, we need to pause on this.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah, 90-day, 3-month.
Yeah, I know that men feel like they would explode if they didn't have sex for 3 months. But I've also talked to a lot of couples who accept that challenge, and it's life-changing, because they change the focus of their relationship in a healthy way.
Right, but it takes 3 months to neurologically rewire. So if you're continuing to trigger your partner, and you love your partner, and you really want to use this as a way to connect, taking a break from this and resetting takes a month to break a habit or form a new one. Even just taking some time off from this and refocusing instead of into sex, refocusing your attention into physical affection and connection.
Right.
And so when there is trauma, what we'll have couples do sometimes, and one person, and there a lot of times, if it's the woman that is traumatized, the man is thrilled to go, I'll take a break on this because I haven't had sex for 6 months. So I'll take a break on this. And you mean she's going to cuddle me? You mean we have to do 15 minutes of holding a day?
Right.
They're like, I'm in, right? So a lot of times this is, once the sex leaves the relationship, a lot of times the affection is left as well. So when you kind of do a reset with the purpose of really connecting affectionately, but not sexually, and you have to differentiate between those two, like there needs to be affection without sex.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we forget how to love each other that way, and it starts to become very adrenaline producing for the woman.
Right.
So these are some techniques that we'll use to
And I think that's a whole nother
reset the
session. I
relationship.
think
I know we could actually
do a
about
whole
some-
nother
yeah.
podcast on
Yeah, how to reset.
healing sexual trauma. And today we want to focus more on obviously having good sexual intimacy, but
Right.
also just really understanding what purple sex is. And so we want to just go through some of the important steps or whatever in terms of how to have purple sex. And which obviously means we're taking in consideration blue and pink.
The differences.
Right. And so we have to have a conversation to say, what would purple look like in our relationship? Because for every couple is different, right? You know, some couples want it twice a day.
Right.
Some couples want it once a month, you know, and everything in between. And there's not a right number. And it's funny, so many couples are like, what's the average, or what's the, you know, what's the right number? And there really isn't. And it really needs to be something that you both decide, but it can't just be like the frequency, but it needs to be, do we want that in the morning? Do we want it in the evenings? Do we like the weekends? Do we, you know, how much time do we want to set aside? You know, when are the kids occupied? When are we most tired? Do we want to make sure we shower beforehand? You know, all of those things need to be talked about to say, what is our ideal purple 2-crown in the bedroom?
Yeah, and specifically identify the intention of sex. You think we don't have to say this,
It's not orgasm?
we have to identify the intention. And may we suggest that the intention of sex is a loving connection.
Yes. That is so important. And yes, like Jen said earlier, there is times in your relationship where even though you don't need it, you don't really necessarily want it at that time, but you want to give that as a gift to your partner. And it's not going to necessarily always follow this perfect laid out plan. But that should be the exception. And oftentimes that becomes the norm, where we do the quickies, we do in the middle of the night, we do where we're half asleep, and we're not setting aside that time. And like I said, doesn't mean you can't do that, where it's like, hey, let's just have a quickie and let's meet that need. And you know, this weekend we'll have more time. But it's important to understand that and make sure that, for one, we're both agreeing to that. And we're making that a priority. And one of the things I suggest to couples all the time, because a lot of couples will say it's very important to keep dating, right? You hear that a lot. Like we go on dates every week, and you know, because date is important. Couples who date stay together, you know, go on dates, and a lot of couples would say too that being sexually active in your marriage is also important too. But we don't ever think about scheduling that. They don't schedule it in the movies. And I'm not saying that it needs to be, I just want to throw that out there as an idea, because a lot of times we automatically reject it because it has to be a spontaneous, it has to be passion, it has to be all the things. But sometimes there's a real benefit to saying, hey, Wednesday night's our night, and we're going to put the kids to bed early. We're going to light some candles. We're going to send little texts during the day saying, I'm looking forward to tonight or whatever. Obviously, if you try to have a headache for reals, it doesn't have to happen that night. But so there, that is an option as far as.
I find a lot of pushback on that though too, because
we do.
Yeah, people want to have it to be spontaneous, but a lot of times the spontaneity comes at a cost, where you lose your sleep, or it's done in a way that isn't really more mutual. So I think that's an excellent point, planning it out. And at the same time, also giving room for some spontaneity too. I think there's always the person that's the planner, and there's always the person that's spontaneous, right? So that's part of making purple. What feels good to you all as a couple, and then what feels safe. And again, that keeping that intention, loving connection. I have to add on that pleasurable. Again,
it's got to be
loving, pleasurable connection.
Right. Loving,
seems like a gimme, but it's not.
Well, yeah, I can't tell you how many couples where, they're both not climaxing, they're not orgasming, and it's like, what? That should be a given, that you both are enjoying the full extent of how sexuality was meant to be enjoyed.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that, because that isn't the main goal.
That's not the main goal.
So there's going to be times that maybe some bodies are just different, that they're not able to climax, or they really don't desire that, or they don't want that, and they have enough pleasure outside.
I'm talking about the ones who desire it. Like, if you want that and you're not getting it, that should not be okay. And that wouldn't be purple. If you're like, I want it every time, and you're getting it a third of the time or whatever, then that needs to be talked about, to say, hey, we need to make sure we make time for both of us to have that enjoyment, and make sure it's set.
We need to talk about what makes purple, but before we do that, purple sex, there's a myth on that one that I'm always debunking, which is that orgasms or climaxes happen together at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually a rarity.
It is. So, most couples do not orgasm together during intercourse.
Right. And especially if there's been some trauma or different things, or lots of births or whatever. So take that pressure off yourselves as well. That it maybe has to come in stages.
Yes.
It might need to come with a little support and help.
Exactly.
So if it's something that you need and want, work with your partner to help get to that place that feels good for both of you, but make the goal to be a loving, pleasurable connection.
Loving, pleasurable connection. I love that.
Thank you.
It's loving.
Pleasurable.
Yeah. And the only other thing I say about the whole scheduling thing, which, like I said, I get a lot of pushback on that too. But let's say that you agree, like, hey, we want to try to make love twice a week. Maybe one of those is scheduled and one of them spontaneous.
That's
or
good.
Maybe I'll initiate one and you'll initiate the other. I hear that a lot from couples where one feels like they're doing all of the initiating, and the other one is not doing as much. And so sometimes that's a big complaint. And I think that's easy to solve if you both say, hey, we're going to take turns, because we've agreed that we both want to be desired. We both want to be pursued in that. And once again, a lot of times it just happens. Well, 5 years, she's initiated once and I've initiated every time, or vice versa. And it's like, it doesn't have to go that long.
It doesn't. So, okay, the steps to making purple.
Yep.
In the relationship.
Is decide what purple looks like. We've already talked about that.
Number one.
Number two, it would be decide what your role is. And part of it is educating each other in terms of what your role is. Is your role going to be, giving a foot massage, or giving, back massage? Is your role going to be, rubbing their head? Or is your role making sure you're clean and that you've taken a shower? Hygiene.
Clean.
But you need to be clear. If you're like, I don't know what to do to make purple sex, that can't be an option. You need to be like super clear, like, I know what my role is for this to be mutual.
Right. But in order to do that, this probably brings us to point number 3.
It does.
To be honest with your needs and desires. You have to communicate.
You have to communicate.
How many times?
We never do, though.
We don't. But I mean, there's so few couples that we work with that actually communicate. I was just talking with somebody today and they're like going, I don't even say it. I just say, do you want to do it? And then he says,
They have code words.
do you want to do
Most
it?
couples.
And then there's no talk about how to make it mutually pleasurable, or maybe what do we want to do this for foreplay, or what about this, or I'm too tired, so let's do this for foreplay, right?
Nobody's planning it out.
Nobody's really even talking about it. It's become a taboo topic, and it would be great if we could talk about this as simply as it is, like we would make a meal together. What do you want to have? You want to have roast beef? Do you want to have corned beef? Do you want to have ribs? Right? It's like,
what do we want in the crock pot? Because we know that the microwave's not going to work. The microwave is not purple.
But we can't stop the microwave from being a microwave. But that microwave, yeah, absolutely. You could do some double duty and getting that crock pot turned on, getting things in there, right? So that, and setting the table, right? So really, I love what you said too, is the man really leading and creating just this culture and this environment that makes the woman want to be able to open up and really give herself to the man, because it's a very invasive process for the woman. Right? And so it's asking a lot of a woman to have that kind of experience. And
without being ready, for sure.
Without being ready, but even if she is ready, it's still asking quite a bit. And I think that gets very underplayed in our culture and our society. And I just encourage women, be queens, take that back, set some healthy sexual boundaries for yourself. Ask for what you need for pleasure. In order to do that, you have to be honest with your needs and your desires,
right,
and not be ashamed.
Yes. And that goes to our next point,
right,
is we need to hold each other accountable.
Right.
Which means if it's not purple, we're not doing foreplay, or you can't say you have a headache or you're tired every time.
Well, you have to be honest.
You have to be honest, and you have to say, hey, we haven't had a date for 3 months, or we haven't had an intimate conversation. We haven't been emotionally intimate or spiritually intimate or other relationally intimate. And so I go back to, are all four wheels of the intimacy carriage,
the marriage carriage,
right? Are they turning?
Right.
And those four areas, I'll say once again, is physical or sexual, relational intimacy, which is the spending quality time, the friendship, the playing together, emotional intimacy, which is sharing your hearts with each other, and spiritual intimacy, where you're connecting with the divine together, and you're connecting your spirits, which is very intimate, so
and unique to humans.
It's very unique.
Spiritual connection.
Yeah, we're not just animals that need to procreate or just have a feeling. And so being committed, that says we're going to have mutuality in our sexuality, and we're both responsible. We're both going to maintain that. And then the last stage and the last step would be evaluate.
Yeah.
Evaluate the progress, evaluate, have a meeting once a month or whatever if you're working on this, and say, how are we doing?
Right. And you know what? Talk about it with therapists. We talk about this all the time. You can tell.
Probably why we're so comfortable.
But we know this is just such a natural part of the relationship, and it deserves and needs a space and a context to be able to hammer out some of these concerns, questions, traumas. And we're all learning together, and like, how do we help couples that are dealing with this? What do we do with this? Because it is such a under talked about topic, but it is probably one of the top issues in a relationship. Money, sex, and in-laws. I've said that a few times, right?
Yeah.
That tend to be something that really needs a lot of navigating and some support on. So let's go through those 5 steps again. Number 1, decide what purple sex looks like.
Yep.
Number 2, understand your role. Number 3, be honest with your needs and desires. So you got to communicate. Number 4, hold each other accountable. And number 5, evaluate the process. How are we doing? Is this working?
Yep.
Crown jewel, babe.
Crown jewel. The crown jewel for today, and I have a couple of things for the crown jewel. One is the crown jewel would be communicate about your sexuality.
Right.
And make sure that you have the goal
Right.
of mutual pleasure and mutual connection.
Oh, I love it.
That would be the crown jewel for today, is communicate in order to have mutual pleasure and mutual connection. And that's, I think, how God created it to be.
I love it. I love what you said too. Mutuality and sexuality too.
Mutuality and sexuality.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank
it was
you
a great
so
topic.
much.
Hopefully we didn't make you too uncomfortable.
Exactly.
But we felt like this was an important topic, and we hope that this will be helpful to you. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you haven't gotten over to our social media, make sure you jump on there and follow us, Doctors Jake and Jenn, and that way you get info on what's going on. And make sure you get on our website, doctorsjnj.com, and subscribe to our newsletter, and then you'll get a preview in advance of the upcoming episodes.
Absolutely. We just want to thank you all that is giving us some good feedback on this. We're just really loving it. And Jake just told me right before we hopped on this one, we've had over 700 views for like the 15 or so podcasts that we did. So that's really cool.
Coming along.
Yeah, we just our heart is to help empower couples to just grow stronger and to be better together and live and lead and love better together.
All right.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
All righty. Bye-bye.